And we are live, 4 p.m. on the dot here in Australia, in Lura, in the Blue Mountains of Australia, near Sydney is where I'm calling from today. Hey everyone, this is Dimitri. I am a pornography addiction recovery coach and the creator and moderator of the group The Accomplished Man. I Quit Pornography. Okay, and this is exciting to be doing this 3-day challenge. It's a new format. It's something I haven't done in the past, and I'm very happy to be able to offer this platform for interaction where we can have a dialogue of what's happening in our lives and exchanging information and meaningful connection into this issue of pornography addiction, which is what brings us here today. So, 3-day challenge, huh? What is a 3-day challenge? So there's a few things that this 3-day challenge is not. This 3-day challenge is not a challenge into not watching pornography for 3 days. This is not the method that I use, and this wouldn't be very challenging. It could be very challenging for some of us, but overall it wouldn't be very challenging. And in particular, because you stop watching pornography for 3 days doesn't tell you anything about yourself, nor about your relationship with pornography. So we're not trying to stop pornography for 3 days. If you've never tried that, please, by all means, try it. But this is not what this challenge is. And this challenge is not a place where I'm going to push you to be really uncomfortable and break through boundaries or break through vulnerability. I invite you to exchange with us, but I'm not going to ask you what kind of pornography are you into and to try to break all this vulnerability into the ground. This is not what this is about. So this 3-day challenge is an opportunity to look within and to understand where we stand with pornography. This may sound less exciting than a brute force 3-day, we're doing this not watching pornography challenge, but it is a lot more powerful to do that, because the first step to overcoming an addiction is to understand where we stand and to understand the situation that's around us and the landscape around us. And so that's what we're going to do. This relationship with addictions feels stuck because we're going through the same patterns over and over again. And yet, if we understand the way we do things with addiction, then we can change some parameters of this addiction and work it so that we understand it better and we can start working with it. And this is what we're going to do in this 3-day challenge. In particular, today, we are going to look into the situation we're having with pornography and the impact that pornography has in our lives. But before we go into that, I just want to commend you for all of you who are rocking up in this challenge, whether live or through the recording later, for your courage, because you don't know what a 3-day challenge is yet, and yet you've committed yourself to joining the challenge and working on yourself. And this is the most important thing here, is that you're ready to work on yourself, and I commend you for it. This is what allowed me to heal from my addiction. This is what will allow you to heal from your addiction, is your determination. And a last reminder, I will do this challenge with you and sharing my feelings and perspectives from when I was addicted to when I was not, and share the difference with you. I invite you to participate at all times, saying hi when you come across this video and answering the questions that we're raising, and asking any question you may have. This is a pretty open format. I have somewhat of a guideline to go through, but you're welcome to intervene and ask any question you may have. It's my pleasure to connect in this way. This is a safe space. We're all in the same case here. We're all addicted to pornography. We're working on this topic, so I'm hoping that we can lift the taboo on pornography addiction and just be able to discuss it honestly. And we're not talking so much about the taboo, but about the feeling around the taboo. We don't really care what you watch. We care about how you feel about what you watch. We care about how you feel about your addiction. We care about how you feel about the damage that your addiction is causing in your life. Not so much about the stuff you do, which is, personal, private, and pretty irrelevant in this challenge. Okay, situation and impact. All right. And the first thing I want to ask you is, before we start anything, is how are we feeling right now? All right, so we're going into this journey of introspection and looking within, and I want to ask you, how are we feeling right now? So let's take a breath. And try to gauge how we're feeling. And I'll be looking into the camera here because it's more connecting. How am I feeling? I'm feeling excited. I'm feeling hopeful. I'm hoping that more people will join us live. Yeah, and I'm curious. I'm curious to see what the responses are going to be. How are you feeling, guys? You can let us know in the chat. Please drop us a few words. Let us know how you feel. It can be just a simple adjective or a whole sentence, and we welcome what's coming up for you. Okay, and so now I would like to invite you to look within, and what we're going to do today is to assess the landscape around us, okay? The landscape with pornography, what's happening for us. And so how is really this addiction impacting our lives in a way that maybe we don't suspect, maybe in a way that we may minimize the impact of pornography or the addiction in our lives, or maybe we may overestimate the impact. So let's take a look at what these impacts are. And the first thing I want to do with you today, and you're going to hate me for doing this, is to calculate the number of hours we spent on pornography. So I invite you to do this right now. And we're going to need three numbers in total. So the first number I want you to calculate is how many years you've spent on consuming pornography. So take your age right now. So when I started pornography, I was 29. I'm 33 now. So I was 29. And I had started pornography at age 12. So there's 29 minus 12 is 17. So how many years have you been watching pornography? The age you're now minus the age when you started. Pretty easy. And then this is your number A. And then I invite you to think now about how many hours of pornography do you consume per week? This number may vary a lot depending on your circumstances, and it's absolutely fine. Just a rough number. How many hours of pornography would you consume per week? So for me, it was about an hour and a half a day, plus some overnighters on the weekend. Sometimes I had sessions that were 6 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours. And so that was about an hour and a half a day times 5. So that's 5 and 7.5. Plus, let's say, another 7.5. That's about 15 hours a week for me. And then what we're going to do is that we're going to multiply A, the number of years we spend on pornography, by B, the number of hours we spend on pornography per week, times 52. And what that's going to give you is how long you spent on pornography in your life altogether. And so I'm going to share with you how long I spent on pornography, but before I do, I want to give you the surprise or the surprise of how much that is. So I invite you can go in Google and just type in this formula, 52 times how many years you spent on pornography from your 17 times the number of hours you spend on pornography per week. So for me that was 15. And you can use the star sign as a multiply sign. And if you press that in Google, it will tell you how much that is. I'll give you a few seconds to do that. How are we feeling, everyone? If there's anything you'd like to share, say hi, or share with us your number, you're welcome to do so. Okay, so my number is 13,260. This is a bit of a lower limit. I was more of a 16,000 hours guy. So I'm above the 10,000 hours mark. I wonder, what is it for you? Are you below the 10,000 hours mark? Are you above the 10,000 hours mark? This number kind of reflects the impact or the severity of your addiction, but it also reflects lost potential. If I had spent 13,260 hours on my martial arts, I would be a freaking awesome martial artist, which I am already, but I'd be even yet better if I had invested in parkour. I would be a freaking awesome mover, which I am not, etc., etc. Okay, so this is lost potential. 16,000 hours of potential lost in pornography, or even fed into harming ourselves, harming our brain structure and our mind and our mental representations and our map of the world. So what is it for you guys? You can share it with us in the group. What's your number? The How many years you spend watching pornography times your average number per week times 52. You can do that in Google using the star sign as a multiply, and it will give you how many hours you spent on pornography altogether. And we're just being real. We're just being real by doing this calculation. And the second question I have for you is, on what medium do you consume pornography? What's the platform on which you consume pornography? Is it videos? Do you go on the big aggregators, Pornhub, and all the lot, watching videos? Is it images, pictures? Is it mangas? You're into hentai, and that's your favorite medium. Is it social media? The social media is crazy, guys. Back in the days, I was someone who was going a lot I was just watching videos on the big aggregators. And that was it. But now I'm so shocked that the stuff we see in social media, there's the sexual liberation on the one side, but then like we get so massively triggered, and this sexual liberation is used as a pretext to just post content that is super triggering so that people just consume more of the content. I think it's sad in many ways, but at least there's that sexual liberation aspect that's a positive. So what is the medium, guys, for you? Is it the internet? Is it photos? Is it magazines? Do you go to the newsletter and the news agency and buy magazines? What is it for you? And you can share us with us in the live, or you can just do this exercise for yourself. And the third question I have for you now is, what's your motivation for quitting pornography in terms of quantifying it from 1 to 10? If 1 is low and 10 is high, what is your motivation for quitting pornography? And it's in a way, it may be hard to quantify. In another way, it may be easy to quantify. So see how you feel. Just any number that comes to mind. I'm more of a 6, an 8, a 2, a 10. Any number is fine. What's your motivation for quitting pornography? And for me, I guess I was a 9 or 10 for a long time. There was a phase. The phase of addiction and escalation was pretty subtle. But then there was a time when I knew I was addicted, and it was definitely a 9 or a 10. And I had no idea on how to get myself out of this. There was no group that I knew of. There wasn't a technique that I knew of. There was no coach that I knew of. There was none of that. And so I was feeling really lonely and isolated with this issue, and I wanted to work it on my own, which eventually I did. But it was really a necessary struggle, and sticking with that addiction for a long time, when really if I had had a solution from the get-go, my life would have been different. Motivation from 1 to 10. Are you a 1 or a 10 or a 9? You can share with us in the live if you're so inclined. And a last easy question is, what's the distress level? What's the distress level you're feeling with pornography or addiction? And for me, it was definitely a 10. It was definitely a 10. And it kind of ramped up progressively. I ignored the problem for a long time, but then it became a 10 after maybe 10 years, 12 years. It was definitely a 10. And I'm assuming, and I may be wrong, there will be some correlation between your motivation and the distress you're feeling. Sometimes I have people telling me the opposite, and then I have to work out with them what it is. But I'm assuming there will be some link. If you have a 10 in motivation, you'll have a 10 in distress. And it's more the 10 in distress causing a 10 in motivation. Okay, so now we kind of know more where we're at with pornography and what's our intention, I guess, and where we're at with it. And a quick exercise I want to do with you right now is to use a tool in coaching that's called the Wheel of Life. And using the Wheel of Life to assess the impact that this pornography addiction has in our life. And so the Wheel of Life is dividing different sectors of life. There's 8 quadrants and octants, I guess. And we're going to assess the impact of pornography in these 8 octants. So here are the 8 octants, and I'm going to say them one by one, and you can assess how pornography is impacting these areas of your life. And maybe you can give it you can just assess, you can give a number from 1 to 10 of how good this area of your life is. And we'll see the link with pornography a bit later. So the first area of your life is health. Do you think pornography is affecting your health? And how good is your health from 1 to 10? Again, just pick any intuitive number. It doesn't need to be complicated. The second is wealth. Is there a link between pornography and how much money you make or how much money you hold? And how good is your wealth from 1 to 10? 10 is high, 1 is low. The third area is relationship. How good is your relationship? By relationship, I mean romantic relationship, or having a partner, or polyamory, or whatever it is for you. And how is pornography impacting your relationship? The fourth is family. How is your relationship with family impacting your relationship? Family in the broad sense. People older than you, the people younger than you, if you have kids. How is pornography affecting your family relationship, and what's a number that describes how happy you are with your family right now? The fifth one is friends and fun. How is your relationship with pornography affecting your ability to have fun in your life? And you can give it a number from 1 to 10 as well. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What's the sixth one? Health, wealth, relationships, family, friends and fun. Career. How is pornography affecting your career? And how satisfied are you about your career right now? Giving it a number from 1 to 10. And then the last one is personal development and spirituality. That's only 7. Oh, well, that's how I do my wheel of life anyway, with 7 quadrants. Personal development and relationships. And spirituality. Personal development and spirituality. How is pornography coming in the way of your own personal development and spirituality? And if you were to give a number of where you're at with personal development and spirituality from 1 to 10, what would that be? Where 1 is low and 10 is high. Okay? And so here you have a pretty good view of the landscape of your life right now. You're sitting in the middle of these quadrants, and this is the shape of your life right now. And, I am hoping that you welcome that. I'm hoping that you are ready to consider what it means to have this addiction and to observe your life for what it is at the moment. And congratulations on acknowledging that and welcoming that. And so I want to leave you for today on a question, and I will reply to this question tomorrow. And the question is, what is pornography? What is pornography for you? And it's not an obvious question. An answer that I had heard in the past from an erotic photographer was that the difference between pornography and erotica is the light. How the angles are taken, how the light is cast to suggest things or to be super explicit. And I don't think it's that. So I will leave you with that question. What is pornography for you? And there's not only one answer, there's millions of answers, and there's also not only one pornography, but millions of pornographies. And so we'll discuss that tomorrow. So this is the end of our challenge today. I thank you for being with us. And tomorrow we'll do our day 2, and we'll be covering the vision that we have for a life without pornography and better understanding the impact that this pornography addiction has in our lives. The call will be at 6 p.m. Australian time. Thank you for having been with us, and I will see you tomorrow for the second day of our Integrity Challenge. Peace out.